Hello, my name is lismawarni. I want to explain about my essay. I think I will reading it. The title is The Influence of Gender on Language. Language is used as a communication tool, which is a means of socialization and preservation of a value or attitude. In society, the role of language is very important in communication as a form of social interaction. Language is influential in the lexical motion of the people who use it. Through the suggestions given, language can encourage people to take social actions. Language and social structure influence each other. These ideas show how linguistic features protect non-linguistic mechanisms to maintain gender division. For example, it can be seen how language produces international concepts of family and masculinity. The use of language in sociolinguistics is influenced by social status, education level, economic level, age, and gender. In sociolinguistics, gender affects language application in society, such as cultural norms, expectations, and context of language application, as well as the effect of language in the community. Gender is built from birth, and development is affected by social and cultural influences. In sociolinguistic studies, gender is a major or wide topic that discusses people's behavior in language use and then raises male and female language variation. The way of communication is influenced by the role of woman or the part of man in the use of language in society. Language reflects the division of gender. Language use is sensitive to one's interaction patterns, indicating that the different experiences of men and women influence language because language is seen as a reflection of society. Language is used in various contexts of life in the social roles expected of men and women. This forms the opinion that language and discourse in which humans are involved can shape personality in social life. The use of language according to social norms and vocabulary indicates gender. For example, the vocabulary adopted by women and men has different meanings. In sociolinguistics, gender is studied and related to real life. This what is gender? In sociolinguistics and other social science, gender means sexual identity in culture and society. Gender is not sex because sex refers to biological qualities, while gender implies a category that is socially constructed and something that is continuously learned over time. Genders Genders is related to the language behavior used by men and women. Genders come from English, which means gender. Gender is defined as the visible difference between women and men in terms of behavior, values, and social cultural influences. Genders and sex are different. Gender is something that you are born with, while gender is formed because of the understanding that grows and develops in society. Genders refer to social cultural. Gender has a role because gender regulates the behavior of women or men in speaking, thinking, and acting. In sociolinguistic studies, there are differences in how messages are delivered between women and men. This can infrequently lead to misunderstanding. In language between women and men, there is a choice of words that will indirectly describe the identity of woman or man. The way uh, the way a woman talks to the opposite sex will be different. When conveying something to a friend of the same gender, they will tend to be more open, contribute to each other in interacting and collaborate in supporting each other. At the same time, men action, on the contrary, they tend to be more active when interacting with the opposite sex and it considerate in interacting with the same sex. According to Randall and Joan, there are three ways to relationship between language and gender can be seen. Gender differences in language. The first, gender differences in language. The use of language is sensitive to lifestyle and social interaction patterns, indicating that gender-specific social experiences impact language usage. As a result, the linguistic community is viewed as crazy. Language distinction between men and women will persist as long as there are disparities in the types of society that men and women experience, which are just a reflection of social differences. The second, gender inequality is influenced by language. According to this perspective, language plays a significant part in creating and maintaining gender distribution. How language is used in various social circumstances can project biases about men and women, with repercussion for the social. This leads to the belief that human speech and discourse have the power to influence social behavior and personality, social behavior and personality. As a result, speakers who study linguistics distinctions might learn the categorization of or differentiation valued in a specific culture. Third, social structure and language both have an impact. This concept demonstrates how language qualities help maintain gender distribution through non-linguistic means. One may notice how language mimics old notions of femininity and masculinity. For instance, social theory, however, has to do with language to understand why this old idea of praises women. In terms of emotional and intellectual distinctions, there are also disparities between masculine and feminist in this context. The difference between masculine and feminine is seen in terms of emotional differences. You can see the table about masculine and feminine. While the masculine is very aggressive, mm, but feminine not aggressive. Masculine have masculine not emotional, independent, can hide emotion, more objective, less easily influenced, not easily swayed by the crisis, more active, more global, more frank, fearless, and more ambitious. But the feminine is more emotional, not very independent, hard to hide emotions, more subjective, easily influenced, easily swayed to crisis, more passive, home-oriented, hard to be harnessed, crying bench, and lack of ambition. Men's and women's differences when speaking are described as a follow the example. The first one is voice factor due to differences in vocal cords in the larynx, the clarity that pressure of men's voices in the speaking differ from women's, affecting the meaning of communication and gender identification. The um, The second one, intonation is the speaker patterns of change when delivering our utterance, such as the lengthening of words at the end of the sentence, known as the spoiled tone in Indonesia, which is only done by the feminine gender, while the male style is more assertive. Characteristic between men and women who are different are based on the gender of the speaker or greeter. Different abilities and differences in verbal skill are often caused by by limb movement, facial expression, voice, and intonation factors. The volume of male voices tends to be greater than women. Even in the artworks, the difference in male and female voices has been recognized as a group that distinguishes men and women. Their language remains the same only in the use of the language of women and men have different characteristics. Usually women are more likely to maintain the language while men are more innovative and innovative. The use of the language of men and women is different in aspect because women are men's subordinates embodied in language elements such as a vocabulary, expression terms, and grammar. Men and women are symptomatic in all occupation, both public sector and domestic sector jobs such as cooking, washing, repairing roofs, and etc. The stereotype of woman is a manifestation of the power of men over women in society because it adheres to a patriarchal ideology. In language, gender plays an important role. The following is one of the division of language according to gender. In language, gender plays an important role. The following is one of the divisions of language used according to gender. 1. Selection of topic according to gender. Women tend to choose topics that appeal to their critical side to criticize. They tend to discuss discussions about life and socialities, while men tend to discuss hobbies or politics. For example, the use of topic in a maiden language is as follows. F as a female, M as male. Dialog 1. Kau tau nggak sih, Ayu udah menikah loh. Betulnya? Kok nggak tahu aku? Kok nggak tahu aku ya? Iya kan? Kayaknya hamil duluan tadi ya. Nggak boleh fitnah gitu. Tapi bisa jadi sih iya. And the child two by male one and male two. There is. Kau udah dengar berita stadion Kanjuruhan itu? Udah. Banyak juga korbannya ya. Ratusan kan yang mati. 120 nyawa yang aku dengar di berita. The conversation above illustrates that women are more open to other women and the topic chosen tend to be about other people's life. The delivery is full of expression with allegations that are not yet clear. Meanwhile, the choice of male topics tends to be factual. This can be a study that men are more selective in choosing topic of conversation than women. 2. Speech selection according to gender. A difference in intonation and pronunciation. Example, udah makan ya kau? Belum, nanti aja. Oh, ya udah deh. Ya. From the conversation above, it's showing tendency that F1 used the words oh, and mm, and oh. Where there is an addition of sentence, even without the words, it is still a correct sentence, but women tend to add words to make it more perfect. B. Differences in a word's organization. The environment influences the language spoken by the community. Someone who lives in the village tends to use more polite language than in the city. In the other words, language shows one's identity. The language used by women comes from the environment. For example, in the environments, they often speak the word "Oh my goodness," exaggerating words that might develop in their environment, such as a social media or home environment, etc. In work organization, women tend to choose more polite language or avoid abusive language in dialogue. This, while men tend to be frontal, in the other words, they are more daring to say rude. This is considered taboo. For example, kenapa kok musam kali? Kenapa kau kok masam kali? Kena tipu aku, sial kali. Ya Allah, yang sabar ya kau, jangan emosi. Udah lah, mau cabut aku suntuk. C. Syntax differences. A series of sentences and their structure is one part of form of mastery grammar that represent the knowledge of speaker called syntax. In the other words, the syntax is the arrangement of sentences in language. Women and tend to use take question sentences as a form of affirmation, while men tend to be more open and candid. Example, aku udah kurusan. Cantik nggak? Iya, cantik. Iya sih, tapi lebih cantik gemuk atau kurus sih? From the dialogue above, it can be seen that women use affirmative sentences to, to ensure the interlocutor listens to what she is talking about by adding a question tag. 3. Expletive and obscene language. Men often use obscene language and swear loudly, while women have a softer speech nature, so they use appropriate language. Example, dialog 1. Besok kita ujian matematika mendadak, kata ibu guru. Apa? Kok mendadak? Udahlah, aku nggak pernah ngerti matematika, bangsat lah. Duh, kenapa mendadak kali? Aku belum ngerti pelajarannya. Mampuslah situ, aku ngasal aja besok. I'm sorry. Female one said, besok kita ujian matematika mendadak, kata ibu guru. And male one said, apa? Kok mendadak? Udahlah, aku nggak pernah ngerti matematika, bangsat lah. Female two said again. Female two said to eight, duh kenapa mendadak kali? Kan belum ngerti. Aku belum ngerti pelajarannya. And male two said, mampus lah situ. Aku ngasal aja besok. Dialog 2, male one said, kapan kita jalan berdua? Dialog female 2, gak ada waktu aku, pergi aja sendiri. Male 1, bodoh kali. Bodoh, diajak jalan makan gratis gak mau. Female 2, gak mau aku, pergi aja dengan mama lo sana. From the conversation above, it can be seen that there are differences in respondents between women and men. Men tend to talk to the point and don't think about whether or not language is shy. Language is shy, while women still keep their words. Conversational style. It is common for men to speak to the point without thinking about the consequences of spoken language. Men do not believe that the language used is appropriate or not, while women have a shy nature and are not free in the use of language. Women tend to use an indirect style in what is expressed. Example, dialog 1. Aku cantik nggak pakai ini? Male 1, it's beautiful. Cantik sih, tapi kau lebih manis kalau pakai baju hitam. Ini nampak gendut kau. Dialog 2, ini enak sih, tapi asin. Male 1, Male 2, iya, kayaknya yang jual mau kawin lagi. In Indonesia, if food is salty, it is suspected because the food maker intends to marry soon. This is a sentence of temptation or ridicule based on joking. The example above show the spontaneity of men. Oke, saya akan menjelaskan lagi yang pertama. Selection of topic according to gender. There is a dialog 1. Kau tahu nggak? Ayu sudah menikah loh. Itu kayak ada penambahan kalimat itu. Sebenarnya tidak ada kalimat pun tetap benar sentence-nya. Tapi perempuan lebih senang menambahkan kata atau yang lainnya, kata imbuhan, kata tambahan. Dan topik yang dipilih perempuan itu adalah topik yang sangat personal life. Dan dialog 2 itu laki-laki berkata dan memilih topik yang sangat faktual. The differences in intonation and pronunciation itu udah makan ya kau? Belum, nanti aja. Oh ya udah deh, oke iya. Itu maksudnya yang imbuhan tadi. Sintaks um, the differences in the word organization itu maksudnya seperti seorang laki-laki yang bilang, kenapa kau kok masem kali? Terus laki-laki yang dua bilang, kena tipu aku, sial kali. Kata sial itu adalah kasar dan laki-laki menyebutkan dengan sangat frontal dan spontanitas. Sementara perempuan memilih kata, ya Allah, yang sabar ya kau, jangan emosi. Memilah berbeda dalam berkata. Dan laki-laki hanya menjawab, udahlah mau cabut. Aku suntuk. Suntuk itu dalam bahasa Medan artinya seperti bosan, kesal, yang menyatu jadi satu. Syntax differences. Seperti contoh, aku udah kurusan, cantik nggak? Iya cantik. Iya sih, tapi lebih cantik gemuk atau kurus sih? Seperti perempuan ingin meyakinkan lagi pertanyaan mereka di awal. Sementara laki-laki hanya menjawab dengan biasa. Expletive and options language. Seperti besok kita ujian matematika mendadak kata ibu guru. Terus respon dari laki-laki itu, apa kok mendadak? Udahlah aku nggak pernah ngerti matematika. Bangsat lah, bangsat lah. Mereka tuh tidak memilah-milah dalam berkata. Sementara perempuan walaupun marah, dia selalu mengatakan kayak, tuh kenapa mendadak kali? Aku belum mengerti pelajarannya. Mereka sama-sama marah, tapi marahnya dalam ungkapan yang berbeda. Cara mengungkapkannya berbeda. Sementara cowok lebih cenderung kayak kasar, mampuslah situ. Dialog dua, kapan kita jalan berdua? Dan cewek hanya menjawab, nggak ada waktu, aku pergi aja sendiri. Itu kasar, namun kasar yang tidak menunjukkan kasar secara frontal. Dan laki-laki menjawab bodoh. Seperti itu, tidak memikirkan perasaan perempuan. Dan perempuan menjawab dengan kasar juga, tetapi masih dalam kata yang lembut. Seperti, nggak mau aku pergi aja kau dengan mama kau sana. Lalu conversational style itu kayak, aku cantik nggak pakai ini, cantik sih tapi lebih manis kalau pakai baju hitam ini, nampak gendut kau. Ini masih menunjukkan spontanitas cowok dalam berbicara tanpa berpikir dua kali. Dominance in speaking. In communicating, men are better able to control the ongoing conversation. Men dominate, while women really interrupt and choose to wait for the man to finish speaking. Meanwhile, women are more often interrupt when talking to other women. Example, female one, aku bingung harus pilih coklat atau strawberry. And then male one, pilih yang mana kamu suka aja. Coklat tuh manis, kalau strawberry itu manis. Manis sih, tapi sedikit asam. Kalau pilih coklat, aku rekomendasiin coklat hazelnut paling top sih itu. Waduh, makin bingung mau dua-duanya. Male one said again, udah pilih coklat aja. Tadi kan udah kau makan yang pedas. Tadi kan sudah makan yang pedas. Sekarang makan yang manis-manis aja. Cepat pilih. Nanti kita kemalaman pulangnya karena kereta api jam 10 udah nggak ada. Belum lagi ngantri sama buatnya. And female to say, iya iya, ya udah coklat aja. The example dialogue show that men talk and tend dominate while women become to the listener. In social linguistics, gender is influential in communicating, where gender has an innate nature from birth that we regulate norms of speech in society. Men tend to be bold and assertive in sharing, while women still consider sorting out appropriate and inappropriate words. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you.